Hello, my lovely learners. Welcome to Bloom and Grow Education. My name is Meredith. Today's lesson is suitable for Year 5 students who are preparing for the Gifted and Talented test. It is a writing lesson, and it is part of the Risking Robots series. So please make sure you check out the other lessons in this series. There's lots of fun things. We are looking at how to describe robots, looking at some great books about how you can learn from how other successful authors have written and describe their robots to help you with your own, do lots of unique idea development. And there's also a couple of really great stories in there about that are just really good examples. And this is one of those videos today. So this student did a magnificent job. Usually I give feedback on these lessons, what the student's done well and what they've done poorly, but there really isn't anything poor about this story to show you. So I'm just going to read it to you and explain the things that she's done great. And then that'll be it. You can just enjoy reading this story. This is a stimulus that we are using. So we've got this robot working the land, and really all you need to do is bring in the stimulus somehow. It doesn't have to be specifically about these farmers and this robot on this farm. It needs to be about a robot, really, because that's the main feature, doing something with the land or on the land somehow. And this is the story that we're looking at. Planet landing. The spacecraft launched into the sky. The ship cut through the sky and into the solar system. It zoomed past stars and asteroids, finally landing on its destination. The space capsule cracked open and a curious head popped out. The blue, luminous eyes stared out across the dusty surface. Little by little, the robot stepped out, its body shining and its wheels steady on the rocky ground. On its side, it said, B-Bot. B-Bot turned its wheels and made its way through the dust. Its mission was to find a source of life, anything, and bring it back to Earth. B-Bot's eyes shifted as he made bleeping sounds. It seemed for hours, but B-Bot kept trying to search. His new metal coat was getting rusty and his wheels made their way through the desert. B-Bot was losing hope when suddenly the ground beneath him shook. The robot wobbled, then fell back. It immediately got up to see a crack on the surface. As quickly as a shooting star, the crack began to extend, growing closer and closer to B-Bot. The robot surged backwards. B-Bot turned around and began to turn his wheels faster than ever. His diesel burned as the sand scratched his metal coat, and then he stopped. Slowly, B-Bot turned around. The moving of the crack had stopped. B-Bot reluctantly moved closer to the crack. Unexpectedly, the crack opened up more, revealing a crater. Curiously, B-Bot rolled forward into the crater. The dust was strong, but his superior eyes kept him going. The robot reached to the bottom of the crate. A hint of green caught his eye. B-Bot moved closer. The robot cautiously picked up the sapling in his metallic hands. It bloomed wildly. The plant had luminescent leaves which glittered in the sunlight. B-Bot rolled back to the surface. He planted the sapling safely into his body and turned into a small rocket. B-Bot surged up into the sky and back to planet Earth. Just as he left the atmosphere, his boosters corrupted and stopped working. The rocket plummeted into endless space. B-Bot was lost forever. Okay, so you can see why this is such a lovely story. She just included these little drawings at the bottom. Obviously, you don't need to do drawings in your picture. So what has she done well? So beautiful description. I love the way that she has done all this lovely showing, not telling. So rather than saying it had blue luminous eyes, she said the blue luminous eyes stared out across the dusty surface. So this is her showing, not telling, through the actions of the character. Same down here with this lovely job of when the earth begins to crack. Faster than ever, the diesel burned as the sand scratched his metal coat. So he's fueled by diesel. He has a metal coat. And she's brought that into the action of the story. And that's one of the things that she's done the best in this. One of the things I questioned her about was whether she had actually done this in 25 minutes. She said that she had. This is an awful lot to write in 25 minutes. So I'm a little bit suspicious of that, but I would trust her. Usually students can only write a page or just over a page in 25 minutes. But I guess if you're really in the flow and you really know your ideas, then this is great. She certainly could have written this in the 42 minutes of NAPLAN. And it is, as I said, it's a lovely, lovely story. One of the other things that I really like, aside from the beautiful description, aside from the fantastic vocabulary like luminous, and was down here, luminescent. There were lots of really good words, but she's also used these space words. So these are words that are specific to space, stars, asteroids, solar system. And if you're writing about space, then you need to put in space words. If you're writing about a kitchen, then you're going to talk about the sink or the fridge or the chopping board. You need to put in those kinds of words to help to place it properly in space or in its location. I also really like the way that she included this magnificent description of the ground tumbling. It could have been as easy as, then one day Bebot found a boulder, and in the boulder was the sapling. And that just would have been lame. But there was the moment of tension, the climax, the exciting part of the story is when there's that big earthquake and Bebot almost doesn't make it. And if it hadn't been that, it'd be a pretty boring story. Like there's a robot wandering around, he finds a sapling. But this is this exciting moment of tension, which then leads to that. So beautiful story flow, beautiful story arc. It's exciting because of that as well. The only other thing, I mean, I could nitpick a bit of spelling, bit of grammar, a couple of different things, but the main thing, in my opinion, and there's nothing wrong with her conclusion. She concludes it perfectly well. And one of the bits of feedback that I often give students is that sometimes, because you're trying to show your uniqueness, if you're demonstrating that you are academically gifted, you need to be able to think differently to other students, and doing a sadly ever after or a bittersweet ever after is a good way of doing that. And this was sort of bittersweet in that he reached his goal, but then he like blew up or fell into space and he died or what have you. So it's a sadly ever after. And so I'm being a little bit conflicted here because I have given that feedback and she's done a lovely job with her conclusion, and there's nothing wrong with her conclusion. But in my opinion, it would have been nice to have seen a happily ever after, because it was such a lovely story, and he went through that trial and he succeeded, and I was like, yeah, you did it. And then he died. And I was like, oh, that poor robot. Oh, I can't believe he died. And so it would have been nice to have seen a happily ever after. But that's just me nitpicking, and I guess being a little bit unclear as well, in the feedback that I'm giving. That's just my personal opinion. It would have been lovely if he'd made it home. But she's done a lovely, lovely job, and I'm very impressed with the story. And so that's all I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed reading that story as much as I did. Please go and check out the other lessons in this series. And if you could also please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate that. It really helps me to be able to keep going with these lessons so that I can help to teach you more and help to get you ready for the GAT test. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you with the next lesson.